So we got nothing for 1984. Pop open to page 181. We are at the very end of Act 1, Scene 2. What's the name of the King of Scotland?
Macbeth.
No.
Duncan.
Duncan. What do we know about the character of Macbeth so far?
He's a savage.
He's a savage, bloodthirsty killer. Okay. He's a beast. Who's waiting to meet with him? Do you know? Do you remember?
Angus.
181. Did you say your mom? Get out.
Get it?
Hey, the witches. If you go back to scene 1, they say they're going to meet with him. Now, we said there were 3. I told you, but 3 people down for the rebels. Who are they? Big Donwall. Norwegian King Sweno and the Thane of Cawdor. Good. Cawdor. Now, listen, at this time in Scotland, this is like the 1050s. There are no dukes. There are no earls. None of that stuff. They're just thanes. Macbeth is already a thane. He's the Thane of Glamis. We're going to see it spelled in a little bit. It's actually Glamis. Okay? Don't worry, we'll see in a minute. Or you can go back to the dramatis persona at the beginning. But Duncan is going to give that title to Macbeth. So he's going to get to be Thane of Glamis and Thane of Cawdor. Are you drawing in my book? That is my book.
I get
Jerk. Yes?
I have a note on the book. That is a thing of Laos and
Glamis.
Laos.
Yeah, he may have misspelled it.
Okay. Can you spell it?
Glamis.
Glamis.
Don't worry about correcting it. I'll just enjoy that every year. Like, I think the book that Cooper has maybe is the one that says, ask Mr. Dodge if he likes grapefruit. I don't know what page it's on, a different page.
You like grapefruit?
Not really. And one of those books is the crazy book. Like it says crazy on every single right side page. But you may not have it.
No, crazy.
This one has a smile.
I got it from that
page.
Nice.
No, I think should I add something to every page?
No. There's a lot happening now. Terrence, you said something.
Does anyone have a penis on there?
No, it just says like foul is fair in every sentence.
Yes. So inversion. Okay. Fair is foul, foul is fair is going to be the main theme. And constantly throughout the story, we're going to have things like brought into comparison. We'll see it coming up. But way up on 181, the king has decided to execute Cawdor and says, this is not a famous quotation, it's an important line. No more that Thane of Cawdor shall deceive our bosom interest. Go pronounce his present death, and with his former title, greet Macbeth. I'll see it done. Now, I told you the Thane of Ross plays like a messenger role. What he hath lost, the noble Macbeth hath won. And we move on to scene 3. We get some witches. Anybody want to be the witches? You just want me to read?
I'll be a witch.
I want to be a witch.
Which 1, which 2, which 3? Go.
All right. Where hast thou been, sister?
Killing swine.
Sister, where thou? A sailor's wife had chestnuts in her lap, and monster was the Dutch. Give me, quoth I, abroint thee, witch. The rough-fed Runyon cries, her husband to Aleppo gone, master of the tiger. But in a sea I'll thither sail, and like a rat without a tail, I'll do, and I'll do.
I'll give thee a wind.
Thou
Dowers.
art kind.
And I another.
I myself have all the other, and very ports they blow, in all the quarters that they know. I the shipman's card, I will drain them dry as hay. Sleep shall neither night nor day. Hang upon his penthouse lid, he shall live a man forbid. Weary Sinites, 9 times 9, shall he dwindle, peak, and pine. Though his bark cannot be lost, yet it shall be tempest tossed. Look what I have.
Show me, show me.
Here I have a pilot's thumb. wrecked his homework that he didn't come.
A drum, Macbeth.com.
The weird sisters hand in hand, hostess of the sea and land. Thus do go about, thrice to thine and thrice to mine, and thrice again to make up mine. Peace, the charms wound up.
Okay. Well done. Before we continue, look, all the numbers stuff, it's numbers you recognize. It's 3s and 7s and 9s, which is just 3 3s, right? So don't worry too much about it. 3 plus 3 plus 3 is 9.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, 3 is a perfect number, 7 is a
You
perfect
said
number.
7, I was like 3, 7, and 9.
Like, you're not,
Seven
that
don't
math
even-
don't work, Dodge. But the Elizabethans are just obsessed with it. Hey, a sieve is like a colander. Do you guys know what that is?
Yeah.
Scottish.
That's the little
Which
bowl.
Scottish?
Right, so, yeah, well, that doesn't really help. It's something you can use, well, it's like a net, basically, a really fine net that you'd use like in the kitchen.
Like a strain for your macaroni?
Like a strainer, yeah, exactly, thank you. And so the footnote does tell you that, yeah, witches at some witch trials claim that they could sail in seas, which if you think about it, would be impossible. Right, but that's the reference. The most important thing from these lines is the idea of insomnia. That insomnia is a curse. And so the witch asks some lady to share some chestnuts with her, and the lady goes, "All right, thee witch," which I think is a great line. And in punishment, the witch is like, "I'm gonna go find her husband. I'm gonna make sure he can't sleep." Nice.
Master of the tiger.
Master of the tiger.
I had the tiger.
So now, if you look, I was gonna mention that too.
It's a boat.
You see where it says I, the shipment's card. If you look at that I, there's an apostrophe. And that tells you it's a contraction. And so it's in is what it is. And for whatever reason, to maintain the meter or whatever, Shakespeare dropped the end. It's not a big deal. Okay. Anybody willing to read Banquo? Banquo's, we got the witches still. We still got witches. Okay, he's gonna read Banquo. You can read Macbeth,
Okay.
Lindsay. So Macbeth and Banquo are like really good friends. They're the two generals who are leading the attack in the rebellion. And Banquo, your opening line is a question. Pause after the question before continuing as though you just caught sight of the witches. Go ahead, Banquo, Macbeth.
So foul and fair a day I have not seen.
How far to it called the fords? What are these so withered and so wild in their attire that look not like the inhabitants of the earth, and yet are? Live you, or you aught that man may question? You seem to understand me, by each at once her choppy finger laying upon her skinny lips. You should be women, yet your beards forbid me to interpret that you are so.
Speak, if you can. Where are you?
All hail Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Glamis.
All hail Macbeth. Hail to thee, Thane of Cawdor.
Oh, hail Macbeth, thou shalt be king hereafter.
Good sir, why do you start and seem to fear things that do sound so fair? In the name of truth, are ye fantastical, or that deed which outward ye show? My noble partner you greet with present grace and great prediction of having of no noble having and of royal hope that he seems wrapped withal. To me you speak not. If you can look into the seats of time and say which grain will grow and which will not, speak then to me, neither beg nor fear your favors nor your hate.
Hail.
Hail.
Hail!
Oh, lesser than Macbeth and greater.
Not so happy, yet much happier.
Thou shalt get kings, thou, though thou be none. So all hail Macbeth and Banquo.
Macbeth, Macbeth. Oh, hail.
Stay, you imperfect speakers. Tell me more. By Simon's death I know I'm the Thane of Glamis. But how of Cawdor? The Thane of Cawdor lives. A prosperous gentleman, and to be king stands not within the prospect of belief. No more than to be Cawdor. Stay from whence you owe this strange intelligence, or why upon this blasted heap you stop our way with such prophetic greeting. Speak, I charge you.
The earth hath bubbles, as the water has, and these are of them. Whither they are they vanished?
Into the air, and what seemed corporal melted as breath into the wind. Would they have stayed?
Were such things here as we do speak about, or have we eaten of the insane root that takes the reason prisoner?
Your children shall be kings.
You shall be king.
And the thing of Cawdor too. Went it not so?
The self-same tuning words, who's here?
Anybody want to read Ross and Angus?
If the witches
Kraus.
are read something.
Kraus.
The witches are done. You-
We want Kraus.
Ross, Angus. Go ahead, Ross.
Am I right?
You're Ross.
The king happily received, Macbeth, the news of thy success, and when he reads thy personal venture in the rebels' fight, his wonders and his praises do contend, which should be thine or his, silence with that, and viewing over the rest of the self-same day. He finds thee in the stout Norwegian ranks, nothing afeared of what thyself didst make. Strange images of death, as thick as hail, came post with post, and every one did bear thy praises in his kingdom's great defense, and poured them down before him.
We are sent to give thee from our royal master thanks only to hurl thee into his sight, and not pay thee.
And for an earnest of a greater honor, he bade me from him call thee Thane of Cawdor, in which edition, hail, most worthy Thane, for it is time thine.
What, can the double speak true?
The Thane of Cawdor lives. Why do you dress me in borrowed robes?
Who was the thing lives yet, but under heavy judgment bears that life, which he deserves to lose. Whether he was combined with those of Norway or did line, the rebel with hidden help and advantage, or that with both he labored in his country wretch. I know not. But treason's capital, confess and prove, have overthrown.
Glamis, and the Thane of Cawdor. The greatest is behind. Thank you for your pains. Do you not hope your children shall be kings, when those that gave the Thane of Cawdor to me promised no less to them?
That trusted home might yet enkindle you into a crown besides the Thane of Cawdor. But 'tis strange, and oftentimes to win us to our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truth. Win us with honest trifles to betray
Us.
to betrays in deepest consequence peasants, the word I pray you.
Two truths are told. As happy prologues are to the swelling act of the imperial theme, I thank you, gentlemen. This supernatural soliciting cannot be ill, cannot be good. If ill, why hath it given to me earnest and commencing in truth? I am Thane of Cawdor. If good, why do I yield to that suggestion, whose horrid image doth unfix my hair, and make my sieged heart knock in my ribs against the use of nature? Present fears are less than horrible imaginings. My thoughts, whose murder yet is but fantastical, shakes so my single state of man, that function is smothered in surmise, and nothing is but what is not.
Look how our partners are apt.
If chance will have me king, why chance may crown me without my stir?
New honors come upon him, like our strange garments, cleave not to their mold, but with aid of use.
Come what come may, time and the hour runs through the roughest day.
Worthy Macbeth, we stay upon your leisure.
Give me your favor. My dull brain was wrought with things forgotten. Kind gentlemen, your pains are registered words. Every day I turn to the leaf to read them. Let us toward the king. Think upon what hath chanced, and at more time, the interim having waited, let us speak our free hearts to each other.
Very gladly.
Till then, enough. Come, friends.
Okay, so, thank you guys. Several things obviously happening here. Go all the way back to page 183, please. Macbeth's first line in the play. he and Banquo are just riding back to Forest, which is the camp, basically, from whence they fought the rebellion. Okay? Macbeth's opening line, so fair and foul a day I have not seen. You know, it's a bloody day, and yet they were victorious. But does his line sound familiar? Yeah, who first said that?
No, witches.
You invented it and they used it.
Yeah, the witches. So something I want you to think about, anytime you watch a movie or read a story, when one character echoes the words of another one, you should think about that and ask yourself if there isn't some kind of connection. In this story, what it does immediately for us is connect Macbeth to the witches somehow. Okay? And then you look at all of Banquo's lines, all these questions that he fires at the witches, but he describes them this way. You seem to understand me, but each at once her choppy finger laying upon her skinny lips. What are the witches doing?
Sucking their fingers.
They're not sucking their fingers.
Biting their nails.
They're not biting their nails. Yeah, they're that's what they're doing.
So they don't want to talk to him or something?
Well, to whom do they respond?
It looks like a drug.
Macbeth. If you go back to scene 1, I know it's been a whole day since we looked at it. It's really, really short. But in scene 1, they said, the three of us will meet again on the heath to meet with Macbeth. All right, so that's what they're doing. Huh? Not yet.
Boys can't be here.
Speak if you can. He says, what are you?
Oh, yeah, it's gonna be.
And they call him Thane of Glamis, Thane of Cawdor, and the all hell hereafter. Look at Banquo's description of Macbeth. Why do you start? Do you know what that means, to start? It doesn't mean to begin.
It's like a lunch.
It's like flinching. It's what probably happens when you're watching a jump scare movie. Ooh! Or when someone sneaks up behind you and gets you. Ooh! You start. Banquo says, why do you start and seem to fear things that do sound so fair? See, there you go. Fair as foul, right?
Fair.
Yeah, if he's king, he's upset about the entire royal line.
So what does Macbeth's startled reaction imply?
He's scared.
Why would he be scared?
Because he would be a rebel.
He'd be a rebel.
Oh, he was thinking about it.
Can you piece together, Mr. Gengel, how you got there?
So, if someone hasn't thought about it, they won't go, oh, that's a possibility. But if you thought about it, it's like, wait, do they know? Because if they know, I'm all of a sudden a rebel. I've been thinking about this.
That's exactly it. How did they know? Are people talking? How would anyone know I was thinking about trying to become king? That's exactly it right there. So it's a little bit of a shock. He's not afraid, right? He calls out to them after Banquo does. Banquo's like, hey, you promised all these great things to my buddy, but what about me? Well, what's the prophecy for Banquo? Your sons will become kings. You're going to be the father to a line of saints. That's what getting means. To beget is to become the father. So they say to Banquo, you will not be a king, but you will get kings.
Wait, so Macbeth doesn't know a chick or anything?
This is Banquo. Macbeth has a wife.
So Macbeth isn't gonna have kids?
That's a good question. They didn't say that. They didn't say that.
They were prophesying the greatest he could be.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I like this. Macbeth wants to hear more. Line 70. Stay, you imperfect speakers. Tell me more. And of course they don't, and they disappear. They just vanish. Poof. Now, I will tell you that this is a great example of how a director can change the direction of a story very easily. Usually the idea is that the witches just disappear from both Macbeth and Banquo. But a very famous version of this from the late 70s, early to mid 80s, Macbeth watches the witches go through a secret door in the side of a hill and then lies to Banquo. And you see how that tells you something about this director's understanding of Macbeth's person? They go, oh yeah, they're gone. I don't know what happened to them. Because he wants to come back. Banquo says, were such things here as we do speak about, or have we eaten of something that drove us insane and takes reason prisoner? Banquo doesn't want to believe him. Like, did we just hallucinate that? Now, several things are happening here. Like Ross is about to come up and say, oh yeah, I was told to call you the Thane of Cawdor. Okay, how's Macbeth going to react to that? As a matter of fact, look at Banquo. He says, what, can the devil speak true? What's happening there? Do you understand that?
The witch's promise is coming.
Yes. And so now Macbeth is thinking, if they were right about Cawdor, they might be right about me becoming a king. What's the easiest way, the most direct route to him becoming king?
Assassination.
Kill the king.
Kill the king. Has he thought about killing the king?
Not yet.
Well, he's got to if he's about to become king.
Is that the king in the book? King James?
No.
No, that's the
He's
real
gotta
king.
kill Duncan. He's got to kill
Yeah.
Duncan.
Right, gotta kill Duncan. Look at the top of 187. We've got Macbeth's first soliloquy. He's trying to think about what these witches are saying to him. This supernatural soliciting cannot be ill or evil. It cannot be good. If it's evil, why is it giving me proof of success? I am Thane of Cawdor. But if it's good, why do I yield, and this is the part we got to interpret, to that suggestion whose horrid image unfixes my hair and makes my heart knock at my ribs? What image would that be that freaks him out so that his hair stands on end and his heart thumps? Killing Duncan. Imagining what Duncan would look like dead. He says, my thought, whose murder is yet but imagination, shakes me up so much that I am smothered in that imagination, and nothing is but what is not. In other words, what's the only thing you can think about? Killing him. But, you know, Macbeth is not a total loss. We've seen what kind of a warrior he is. So his next line, if chance will have me king, then chance may crown me.
So he's not going to do it, but it could happen.
Yes, I'll let it happen if that's what is supposed to happen. I'm not going to do anything. Now, notice that that's moral. Okay? Killing the king would be immoral, in case I need to tell you that. Now, I want to talk about the chain of vice. I do have it written on the board, which means that the photo is on your Google Classroom. And it's in this story, but it's not just of this story. You can apply it to your own life. The chain of vice says this: first we get tempted, and then we desire, and then we grow to be addicted. And only after we've hit the rock bottom do we feel remorse. You can apply that to anything. Doesn't even have to be sin. It's vice.
Remorse is like guilt, right?
Yep. So, you know, we got chocolate chip cookie dough ice cream, and it's tempting me. And I think I'm gonna have just one little spoonful. And now I'll just have one more. I'll have one more, and then it's gone. And now I have to explain to my kids how I finished the ice cream.
Not remorsing.
Yes, you got it. Well, notice the witches. How did they tempt Macbeth? You'll be king. Did Macbeth desire more?
No.
Stay, you imperfect speakers. Tell me more.
You wanted to hear more.
You wanted to hear more. So he's already desiring more information. Okay, so watch how that unfolds.
Isn't the artist like addicted to killing?
But it's directed. That killing is directed to serving the king. I want to show you two other things primarily. On the bottom of 186, Banquo he says that oftentimes to win us to our harm, the instruments of darkness tell us truths, win us with honest trifles to betray us. Do you get that? It's actually very similar to what Hamlet said, right? About the ghost and if it was a demon.
If it was true,
Then we'll figure it out.
well, if they tell us something that we know is true, then we are inclined to believe them
Yeah.
when they tell us something that is not true.
Right, right. So Macbeth is now more likely to listen to the witches. The other thing is not as big of a deal, but especially for you guys who would find things like this interesting, I could have put clothing on the board for a theme. All right, on these 2 pages right here, we have a reference to clothing twice. When Macbeth gets called the Thane of Cawdor, he says, "Why do you dress me in borrowed robes?" And then, like in our book, almost face to face, Banquo's trying to figure out why Macbeth is just standing there acting all stunned. And he says, well, new honors come upon him, like our strange garments, like strange clothing. So all throughout the story, you're going to see that pop up again, because Macbeth is borrowing someone else's clothes. It's like he's playing dress up. Okay. Did we miss anything? Any questions?
No. That's wrong.
Okay. Scene 4. You guys are doing great. Anybody want to read King Duncan? Well, I need a Duncan, I need a Malcolm, I need a Macbeth, I need a Banquo. Well, Macbeth and Banquo can stick with their parts. Duncan?
Read now.
All right, we got a Malcolm. Malcolm, remember, is Duncan's older son. All right, scene 4. Duncan,
Say action.
action.
Is execution done in Godward? Are not those in commission yet returned?
My liege, they are not yet come back, but I have spoke with one that saw him die, who did report that very frankly he confessed his treason, implored your highness pardon, and set forth a deep repentance. Nothing in his life became him like believing it. He died as one that had been summoned in his death to throw away the dearest thing he owned, as were a careless trifle.
There's no art to find the mind's construction in the face. He was a gentleman on whom I built an absolute trust. A worthiest cousin, the sin of my ingratitude even now is heavy on me. Thou art so far before that swiftest wing of recompense is slow to overtake thee. But thou hadst less deserved than the proportion both of thanks and payment might have been mine. Only I have left to say, more is thy due than more than all can pay.
The service and loyalty I owe, in doing it, pays itself. Your highness part is to receive our duties, and our duties are to your throne and the state children and servants, which do but what they should by doing everything safe toward your love and honor.
Welcome hither. Wait, is that me? Yes. I have begun to plant thee, and will labor to make thee full of growing. Noble Banquo, that hast no less deserved, nor must be known no less to have done so. Let me enfold thee and hold thee to my heart.
There, if I grow, the harvest is your own.
My plenteous joys, wanton, in fullness seek to hide themselves in drops of sorrow. Sons, kinsmen, thanes, and you whose places are the nearest, know we will establish our state upon our eldest, Malcolm, whom we name hereafter the Prince of Cumberland, which honor must not unaccompanied invest him only, but sign in nobleness like stars shall shine on all observers from hence to Inverness and bind us further to you.
The rest is labor, which is not used for you. I'll be myself the harbinger, and make joyful the hearing of my wife with your approach. So humbly take my leave.
My worthy Cawdor,
And the Prince of Cumberland, that is a step on which I must fall down, or else I will lead, for in my way it lies. Stars, hide your fires, let not light see my black and deep desires. The eye wink at the hand, yet let that be which the eye fears, which is done to see.
Oh, two worthy banquo, he was full so valiant, and his commendations I am fed. It is a banquet to me. Let's after him, whose care is gone before to bid us welcome. It is a peerless kindred.
Okay, good. What happened in the scene?
So Duncan came in and was like, hey, you're Prince of Cumberland now, but he wants to be king. So he's like, it's cool, but I want to do more.
So, all of Duncan's children are not directly in line until they're named Prince or Princess.
Yeah.
So before Malcolm was named Prince, Duncan could have killed Macbeth could have killed Duncan and become king, ignoring all the
So,
children.
so remember, it's an elected hierarchy, or elected monarchy. All the nobility have to agree, or at least a majority. So the presumption is going to be that it goes father to son, but it doesn't have to. And we're going to find out that Macbeth is related to Duncan, so he's got the right family. So he could have been named Prince of Cumberland himself. What's that?
Just saying he married Duncan's daughter.
Are you, okay.
Just saying that's, could be it.
Oh, yeah. But no. The fact that Duncan named, so remember, Macbeth said, if chance will have me king, then chance may crown me. Well, now it can't be chance. He's going to have to, he's compelled to action. Mr. Gangliff?
So am I going to see a parallel between the Thames and Cawdor, where one of them rebels and then another of them rebels?
Right, so the Thane of Cawdor, when the play began, and what we're told is he looked like a gentleman. And he died bravely too. But despite appearing to be so loyal, he was apparently aiding the rebels. And that's why he was executed. And you have this like fun juxtaposition too, where just as Duncan is saying, oh, that Thane of Cawdor, he was a man on whom I built an absolute trust. In comes Macbeth. Yes, but as he's saying that, Macbeth walks on stage. And here's another man on whom he builds an absolute trust. As a matter of fact, I realized in reading this play, there are a lot of things that like Shakespeare just kind of leaves out there for us to catch up on. Inverness is the name of Macbeth's castle. Okay? And Duncan wants to go to Macbeth's castle to spend the night. Now, guys, Brandon, this is meant to be a gift. It's to honor Macbeth. And Macbeth says, let me be the harbinger of that news. He's saying, let me go, instead of traveling with you, let me go home before you to tell my wife what's going on so we can be ready for you. Okay? Yes, sir.
Do I have enough time to go to the restroom?
No, you don't.
Okay.
We're almost there, though. I think that pretty much covers what we need to make sure we saw. Oh, I know. I want to show you this too. Guys, line 50. Macbeth says, stars, hide your fires. Let not light see my black and deep desires. You know what's going on with that?
His second level of change.
Someone write it on here, but I don't know what it says.
Why do evil desires want darkness?
So you won't be able to see him.
Yeah, so you can hide. Now, what's interesting is pretty much the rest of the play will take place in darkness. So it's as though Macbeth and just did witchcraft.
What he does is Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad?
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah, I love that show.
Like towards the end of the show, his house lights are never on. Like
Oh yeah.
you might not notice it if you watch it one time, but I just remember like the last two seasons is just like completely different. Everything's different.
Yeah, that was a really well-written show. I didn't say we were done. I want to just show you scene 5, and then I think at that point we can call it quits for today. Lady Macbeth is reading a letter that Macbeth has sent ahead. And one of the things that stands out about the relationship here is they treat each other as equals. Okay, and that's odd for the time period. It's also really important for us. So here's her letter. They, it's the witches, met me in the days of success, and I have learned by the perfectest report they have more in them than mortal knowledge. When I burned and desired to question them further, they made themselves air into which they vanished. Whilst I stood wrapped in the wonder of it, came missives from the king, who all hailed me Thane of Cawdor, by which title before these weird sisters saluted me, and referred me to the coming on of time, with Hail, King that shall be. This have I thought good to deliver thee, my dearest partner of greatness, that thou mightest not lose the dues of rejoicing by being ignorant of what greatness is promised thee. Lay it to thy heart, and farewell. Glamis thou art, and Cawdor, and shalt be what thou art promised, yet I do fear thy nature. It is too full of the milk of human kindness to catch the nearest way. You would be great. You are not without ambition, but without the evil that ambition needs. What you would highly like to do, you would do so holily. You would not play false, and yet you would wrongly win. You'd have great Glamis, that which cries, thus thou must do if thou have it, and that which rather thou dost fear to do than wishest should be undone. Hie thee hither, that I may pour my spirits in thine ear, and chastise with the valor of my tongue all that impedes thee from the golden ground which fate and metaphysical aid doth seem to have thee crowned withal. Do you understand what she's saying about Macbeth?
Oh,
That which you would greatly desire, you would have in a holy fashion. What is he not willing to do?
Kill the king.
He is a person who does not want to do evil. That traditional European philosophy. You cannot do evil even so that good can result, right, Kevin?
but
So-
fair is foul, foul is fair.
Yes. And the woman is typically fair, right?
But
But she's foul. She's like, you are not willing to be bad to get what we deserve.
do what you gotta do.
So she's like, you need to come home so that I can pour my evil into you. And then the messenger says, the king's coming here. And she says, you're crazy. And the messenger says, no, really, he is. And then Lady Macbeth, go down to exit messenger. The raven himself is hoarse. The raven's usually a bad omen.
Yeah.
That croaks the fatal entrance of Duncan under my battlements. Come, you spirits that tend on mortal thoughts, unsex me here. Make me like a man who's a warrior. And fill me from the crown to the toe, top full of direst cruelty. Make thick my blood, stop up the axis and passage to remorse, that no compunctious visitings of nature shake my fell purpose, nor keep peace between the effect and it. Come to my woman's breast, and take my milk for gall, you murdering ministers. Wherever in your sightless substances you wait on nature's mischief, come, thick night, and pall thee in the dunnest smoke of hell, that my keen knife see not the wound it makes, nor having peeped to the blanket of dark to cry, hold.
Coach and Struby in 7th period class.
We'll pick up with that speech tomorrow.
And don't forget, during lunch, both the best of them from your choice to receive a pie and